everybody. Welcome to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT, coming to you from our studios here in the Portland area and proudly a part of the Golf News Network across the world. How's your golf game? Well, maybe you can't answer that, but another question you could answer is, are you ready for Father's Day? Probably not if you got a dad that's still kicking around here. Well, how about buying dad an entry fee for a scramble? Scrambles are a lot of fun. And we're going to talk to somebody about that today. Dave Hallin, my buddy from Refit, is going to be talking to us here in just a minute um, about the Refit tournament coming up July 8th. And there's still time to get in for maybe a few people. I don't know. We're going to find out. We'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and the Oregon Crab Commission from sea to plate. The Oregon Dungeness crab is great. All right, Dave, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Jeff, how are you?
Good. You're a little haggard. We got to tell folks you were hung up a little bit in traffic. Traffic is not fun, especially when you're headed north on I-5, which is about as wide as a fairway on a 9-hole golf course. So anyway, I'm glad that you're with us today. So we've got the refit coming up. I will, for full clarity for people, I am involved in this tournament to a small degree, and it's always a lot of fun. But before we talk about the actual tournament, Dave, let's talk about refit for a few minutes. What is it that refit actually does?
Refit is a nonprofit, and we make homes. We make homes. Okay.
You're all right.
We make we adjust homes so that people can stay in their homes when they have a disability.
Okay. So you do like ramps and widen doorways and
Yeah, we do ramps, we widen doorways, we do ADA bathrooms. It's all about accessibility and being able to stay in the home that they've been in forever. When they end up, with a wheelchair or a walker or whatever, some of the North Portland houses have got porches that are 5 feet off the ground, which requires a 60-foot ramp to get them out of the house. But, a lot of these people, it's their neighborhood they've been in forever.
right. No, and I don't blame them for not wanting to leave home because even at the best of times, if you've lived in a house 20 years, it's part of you. If you've lived there your whole life, it's a big part of you. And so
It adds a whole lot of stress to whatever disability that they've, undertaken or, has affected them. And I think the additional stress of having to move to an area that, or a facility that they're not familiar with. I mean, the people that we've done ramps for, just being able to utilize the ramp, go out and socialize with the neighbors they've had for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, in one case, 50 years, is a huge thing for them.
yeah. Well, and some of them could not officially, but they could be housebound a bit by not being able to get in and out of their homes. Even if they've only got a couple of steps in the front, sometimes that's really difficult for them to do that. I know I dealt with that with like my parents as they got older. It was very hard for them. And we lived in a 2-story on the ranch house. And at a certain point, neither my mom and dad could go back upstairs where they had been for 50 years, but they couldn't make the steps. And then getting in and out the back door was very difficult for them. So I know that that's very important work you guys do. Now, you guys don't get paid for that.
No, it's all volunteer.
Yeah.
Volunteer, donations, fundraisers. We just had Boise Cascade donate a bunch of material for the most recent ramp we did. And then we had 6 people out there for 2 days building the ramp. But yeah, nobody gets paid other than the executive director.
You guys also, I know you told me in the past that, and also Lori, the executive director, has told me that a lot of these guys, like yourself, who work in the construction business, whether it's remodels or new homes or whatever, a lot of that stuff you kind of donate yourself at times, different materials and things.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There is a group of us that are on the projects committee. There's, I think, 6 contractors, and we take turns doing ramps. We're always trying to find somebody else to do a ramp or a bathroom. The bathrooms are big projects. They go on for several weeks. There's always a tile involved, for the shower unit. So yeah, there's a lot of cogs in the wheel in doing a bathroom, much more than a ramp, but it's still all volunteer. And whether it's electrical, plumbing, or the material for the ramp.
Sure. I know that well, I at this house, we all have our physical capabilities, but when we moved here, it was an old house and we've kind of been remodeling over the years as we gone along. But I will tell you, David, a funny story very quickly. One year I got a toilet for my birthday because my sister came to visit and we had the original toilets in the house and she thought they were too low to the ground. So she bought me a new, I don't know, current size toilet. It was like that. I'd never gotten a toilet for my birthday before. It was a unique gift. I'll just put it that way to you.
Good for you. I'm proud to say I've never got one either.
Yeah. Well, I may be one of the few people in the world that ever got a toilet for their birthday. And I had to pack it in and was all crated up and everything. So anyway, that's a little something there. You also do, besides the refit, we're going to get in the next segment, we're going to get more into the specifics about this tournament, but you do another tournament too. Why do you think that golf tournaments kind of lend themselves in these charity events to for people to like open up their wallet for an organization like Refit?
It's To me, it's a social event with some competition involved. And if if you're paying the money that's going to a nonprofit to help people, I think they're much more willing to pay a little extra and sign up and want to participate. Yeah, the other one I do is the National Remodelers Association, and we have a lot of support throughout the industry, and it's fun, but it's strictly fundraising to um, inject cash into the National Remodelers Association. And whereas Refit is a fundraiser to, anything we do is to, build ramps.
Yeah.
Small amount of it is, to pay the AD's salary, but yeah, most of it goes into the ramps and into what we do.
I've always found that these tournaments, I love to play in the scramble tournaments. Fun. They're a lot of fun and nobody takes them overly seriously until they start looking up and finally seeing that even on their worst day they're 5 under and they think they've got a shot, which they don't, but they like to think that. But I also help people with students and veterans and things like that. A couple of the other things that I like to help people out with. And I've just always found that these scrambles are just a good time where people can kind of relax. Like you said, they can go play. They know they're supporting a good cause. Usually there's prizes, contests, a raffle, what have you. There's a whole litany of good things that can happen around a tournament like the refit.
Yeah, I mean, this year we've got another car on a hole-in-one. So Mercedes again has stepped up and they have a hole-in-one hole that if you get the hole-in-one, you get the Mercedes.
Yeah. Okay, just put my name on that and we'll be good to go. Like and you're gonna have a barbecue. Badger Barrel has donated a barbecue for us again this year.
Yep, and
Last year I think it
lots of
was,
good raffle prizes.
yeah, lots of good raffle prizes. So that's all good. We're talking to Dave Hallin from Refit, and the charity tournament is coming up July 8th at the Willamette Valley Country Club. So Dave and I are going to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about the tournament right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. Before we talk to Dave about the refit tournament and some more particulars about it. This is the part of the show where the good folks at Weston Kia support us by me interrogating our guest every week on what they think is a good travel tip for golfers. And I know Dave travels because once in a while I've called him or texted him, and he's on the other side of the country, either watching a tournament or playing in something. So, Dave, what would be your good travel tip for people who want to either pack their clubs or they don't want to pack their clubs and they rent clubs or whatever it is? I know you're experienced enough in flying in the big silver cigar tubes. What would your tip be?
Fly Southwest. Your clubs, your clubs fly for free. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually leaving Saturday for Arizona with my clubs.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a good. I
Yeah.
happen to know a guy who's a flight attendant, Southwest. He's more. I know him from more of the barbecue side, but he's. I have to give him some static about that. You know. And
Yeah.
another tip we got actually from the last couple of guests was put one of those little air tags in your golf bag so you can track it. You know, if you got to change planes or something like that, that's a good tip. All right, let's talk some more about the refit charity tournament coming up. You moved it down to Willamette, which is in Canby, Oregon, if you're not familiar with that. It's a beautiful course. It's been years since I played it, but tell us how the course looks and how it's stacking up right now.
It's a beautiful course. Coincidentally, I've played the front nine probably 10 times and never played the back nine because I always play in a wine and nine tournament. But everybody that I've talked to that is familiar with the course and knows that we've moved it there is really excited about playing there. It's the staff there is amazing. They've been very accommodating and really want to have a fundraiser like ours at their course.
And there's food involved. We like
Yes.
food.
Yeah,
I
there'll
like
be
food
a
especially.
yeah, sack lunch, barbecue when we're done. It yeah, it's a great facility. It's going to be a really good time.
I will tell you, folks, that Refit does a lot of engagements, if you will, over the years, a lot of throughout the course of the year over the events. I've been to a couple of their charity balls. Um, Cost me some money. I will say that. I raised my hand at an inappropriate time and ended up buying pies and cakes or something and shared them at the table. But they've always got a lot of fun things to do there. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Dave. What do you think the low winning score will be this year? I'm going to hold you to this now. I'm going to bet you a hamburger or something.
Minus 17.
Minus 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I ever played in a scramble like this was a long time ago. And I will tell you that we shot like 9 under, 10 under. And I said at the top of the show, I thought we were in it. We got to the end, turned in the card, and the winning score was 21 under. And I knew I was out of my league at that point. That was in an FBI tournament, and I certainly wasn't going to argue with them. So from then on, you do get some sleepers in some of these teams. Been known to bring one in myself, but that's always fun when you can have that score like that. What are we talking as far as if people are interested? Where can they find out more about it, Dave? How can they sign up? Or is there a website they can go to look at this stuff? What is it?
Yeah, it's refit pdx.portland.org, I think. That's a good question because I don't ever go to it to sign up. But if you put in refit Portland, it'll pop up.
Yeah. And then there's a page there for the tournament.
Yes, there is.
Okay. I think here on the flyer it says it's 199 for an individual, 750 for a foursome, which is you're getting a bit of a discount there. You said it comes with lunch, like a brown bag lunch and a barbecue dinner. What are some of the other accoutrements that they have? Do you have contests on particular holes besides a hole in one, or you have a long drive contest? What's all involved there?
Yeah, we have a men's long drive, men's KP, women's long drive, women's KP. We have a putting contest. We have the longest putt contest. We have one hole that we call the Bubba hole. I think in years past it was Tiger's hole, but now it's, in my opinion, it's Bubba's hole. But you get to move up if for paying $20. You get to move up to 150 yards out on a par five, which always, creates an eagle for several groups.
Sure.
And that, yeah, it's just it's pretty serious tournament. There's a lot of good golfers that play in this tournament.
Has it been really, some years are up, some years are down. I know that because I work with some of these tournaments. I work with Refit, but overall, has it raised a fair amount of money? I know you don't want to talk about actual dollar amounts, but I wouldn't ask you to do that. But has it raised a fair amount of money for Refit and helping with the ramps and the bathroom situations?
This is our fourth year of doing the tournament. Last year, I think we were kind of still plagued with pandemic and everything else. Last year was not a great year. We were lucky to break even. Years past, we've done okay. This year, we have a lot of enthusiasm. We have a lot of sponsors. We have a lot of players already signed up. And so I'm really excited about the outcome of this tournament and what it's going to be able to do for Refit as far as cash infusion for more ramps and, more cash flow.
Is it sometimes a thankless job running a golf tournament? I know that's a loaded question.
I enjoy every minute of it. This year's been a little tough because we've had several vendors vying for the same
Yeah.
sponsorship. And so trying to sort that out, but everybody's been great. It's like, if you can't do lunch, then we'll do two other things. Or if I can't do dinner, then we'll do the main sponsor. And their attitude is we just want to help.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that because it's not about them. Yeah, of course they want their sign there that they're supporting it, but it's kind of heartwarming that all they really care about is getting out there and helping.
Excellent. Excellent. Dave Hallin, uh, is your official title tournament director?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sort of. Okay. Dave Hallin, tournament director for the Refit Charity Golf Tournament coming up July 8th. Willamette Valley Country Club in Canby, Oregon. You can go to their website, refitportland.org. You can find a page to sign up there. I've played in it now for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. It's a lot of fun. Great people for a great cause. And Dave does a tremendous job putting it together. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for all your help and support.
No problem. We're going to come back. We're going to be talking with Michael Schmidt Depaola. If that name rings a bell, I'll tell you why when we get back after this. Hey, welcome back to Grilling It's Green. I'm JT. Again, we'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and also the Oregon Crab Commission. They are rapidly becoming some of my favorite folks down there from sea to plate. If you've never had Oregon Dungeness crab, well, you missed out on a lot. So I would suggest that when you can get your hands on some, if you don't live here on the West Coast, give it a try. As I said, our next guest is Michael Schmidt Depaola. I've known Michael for a couple of weeks now since he was a lot younger than he is, and now he's a dad and all kinds of things. And Michael is the manager of the internet sales for a company called Wide World of Golf that they have retail stores in Spokane and Boise. And Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's an honor.
Well, it's my honor. Why I love it when I see guys grow up and they do the family thing and all that, and I get to watch them kind of from afar. I think it's terrific. And Michael's a pretty good stick too, everybody. I'm going to tell you that. I played golf with him a couple times, and his dad and I try to cheat each other, but Michael's a legit, straight up golfer. So it's all good. Well, we've got Father's Day coming up. Now, I know your son is a little young to be buying you Father's Day gifts legitimately, but for the golfers out there, I think sometimes they get into a conundrum. The wives, or maybe the wife is the golfer. It doesn't matter. Everybody golfs, but how do you, if you're not a golfer, how do you pick out the right thing for dad for Father's Day, besides just buying him a bag of teas or a sleeve of balls or something?
Mhm. Well, a lot of times, some of the questions that we ask is, how much do they golf?
Mhm.
Because, that's going to determine, probably the skill level or how serious somebody is about golf. So if we have a wife or a girlfriend come in and they say, my significant other plays every weekend, well, then right off the bat, probably a really good gift is Titleist golf balls, because
Mhm.
that person probably knows Titleist is one of the best, and they will appreciate that right off the bat.
Sure.
And if they say that maybe they're not as quite of a regular golfer, well, then sometimes we go a different route and do something more fun. Like, are they, uh, what's their favorite sports team? In Boise, there's a lot of Boise State Bronco fans. So we
Sure.
always go to that section of the store and look at towels, head covers, fun stuff like that. Cause that's also a really cool thing. Cause then those people maybe aren't quite as serious about golf. It's more about, a little bit more accessorizing their game based
Yeah.
upon their other interests.
Maybe they just get out there once or twice a month and have fun with their friends
Totally.
like
Yep.
that. I find it interesting that over the years, especially since internet shopping has become so prevalent. I mean, it really has. Over the last 10 years, it's really gone boom. But there's so many things that uh 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, you had to go to a golf store. And then, even then, Michael, they might not have them. You might
Mhm.
have seen something in Golf Digest, for example, something for dad there, but you went down to your local pro shop at the club. And I'm not dissing the pro shops at the club, but they're under a different realm than a standalone golf store is. And you wouldn't find those things. And they'd say, well, we can order it for you. Well, it's 5 days till Father's Day. It's
Mhm.
it's it's tough to get there. In the product lines, what have you seen the expansions on in the years that you've been doing this? And you've been doing this what now? 9 years, did you say?
9 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Doing it for 9 years.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably the thing that I've seen expand the most is uh, really custom built golf clubs. And even when I started in 2015, it was very common for somebody to come into the store, say, I want this club. And we would grab the clubs for them and they would buy them and they were out the door.
Hmm.
But nowadays, there's a lot more that goes into it. You look at businesses like Club Champion or Hot Sticks or Golfdom. That's a really big one in Washington, D.C. They are all about custom fitting golf clubs. And part of the reason it's become popular is that a lot of retailers like ourselves, we offer it for free. So we fit you to the golf clubs because we want you to be better educated
Hmm.
on something that's going to last you longer, because not everybody just fits into something right off the rack.
Right.
So that's something I've seen expand in the online department, especially. We sell a lot of custom built golf clubs to people all over the country.
Would that be a suitable gift for somebody not knowing uh anything about golf in particular, but they want to get dad a gift? And when I say that, maybe it doesn't cost anything to be
Mhm.
fitted, but maybe they could even make an appointment and say, here's their certificate, go to Worldwide Golf. Michael's going to fit you for clubs or whoever you have to do it there. And it
Yep.
might be something that the guys that just don't play very often, maybe they've been hesitant to do it. Maybe they've had the same set of clubs for 15 years and they're happy with them. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with that. But, you know, maybe take some of those wooden shafts out of your bag and think about something, or maybe the transition from steel to graphite. As you get older. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story, Michael. First time I ever played with graphite clubs, I can get a little wild on the course anyway, if you remember properly. But I was playing with down in Arizona with some graphite shafts, and I was hitting that thing everywhere. It went hell of a long ways, but I had no control over which direction,
Yep.
like
Hmm.
that. And I'm assuming with the composite graphites and metals, shavs, and things we have now. That's probably changed a lot. I know it has for your father, but the point is maybe a fitting like that could really help them make a decision to step up a little bit too.
Absolutely. I literally dealt with a customer this morning who was wanting to buy a new driver for her husband who started golf during the pandemic, which that's where a lot of new golfers have come about in the last 4 years, are people that took up golf in 2020 because it's one of the few things you could do.
Right.
And she said, I want to get a new driver for my husband and I want to get fit for him. What do you recommend? And so kind of like what you even suggested is we said, we think, you should get him a gift certificate for this much and then schedule a fitting with this gentleman in our Spokane store. And that's what she did. And so that's something we see a lot is people are looking to upgrade or change their game to something that fits them now. And we just kind of tell them, you probably should get a gift certificate for this much and schedule a time to come in and get fit. And you don't have to pay for that. And you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first clubs I ever bought that when I got my very first credit card when I was in college and I was living in LA and I went over to Big Five Sports and bought myself a set of Golden Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. And we still
Yeah.
had persimmon woods and stuff then. I never
Mhm.
could hit a persimmon very well, but but the irons were fantastic, but I just bought them off the shelf. And I
Yeah.
didn't play enough I was in school, I was working, so I didn't play enough to make it relevant because back then I think actually fitting and getting your clubs tweaked was a really big deal, and it's not that much anymore.
Nope, it's not. I mean, you can order a set that's 2 inches over, 4 degrees upright, 1 degree strong with mid-sized grips, and you don't have to pay anything extra for those types of adjustments.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really cool that's come about in my career, is that these things that people I think thought that you had to be a tour player and
Yeah.
get it off the van um at Muirfield. Is that where yeah, that's where
Yeah, that's
the
where that's
the memorial is.
yeah.
And you had to be in line with Xander and Bryson, and that's just not the case. I think these manufacturers know that golf is a growing sport and they need to be as accommodating as possible to their customers. And I think they've done a really good job of that, especially over the last 9 years.
Yeah, and you're right about the COVID thing. I live not far from the OGA golf course, and you couldn't get a tee time. After
Yeah.
everybody figured out that it was, and it was a nice day. I mean, it was packed from sun up to sundown, literally. So,
Yeah.
we did bring in a lot of new people there. We're talking with Michael Schmidt Depaola from the Worldwide Golf in Spokane and Boise, and Michael and I are going to take a quick break. And we're going to come back here on Grilling at the Green. Don't forget, we are part of the Golf News Network now on iHeart. And if you don't know what that is, you can Google it or you can search for it on your phone. But that's a 24/7 golf radio station on iHeart. And it's pretty cool. And this show airs on the weekends there. But yeah, so things are always expanding. Anyway, Michael and I will be back right after this. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. We're talking with Michael Schmidt Depaola there. I can't tell you how many years I've known your dad, but he's one of the best guys in the world. And I will tell you, this picture behind me, he did not take that. I did. So I had a bunch of pictures that he takes, and I use them all the time. And I thought, I'll tell Michael that's my claim to photography fame there. Like I said, Michael works for Worldwide Sports in Boise and Spokane. Do you venture between the two stores, or do you just mostly stay in Boise?
I mostly stay in Boise. As crazy as it sounds, I've never actually gone up to the Spokane store. We've, I've pretty much stayed here in Boise. The um they have sent me to other places to go to training with our manufacturers. About 5 years ago, I went down to Callaway Golf's headquarters in
Mhm.
Carlsbad and went through their training to become a certified master fitter with Callaway, which that was a really cool experience. And but Spokane is pretty cool. That store has been there for over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And the store is owned by Brad Sherwood, and it's we definitely do a lot of business, but it's a very tight knit, small family run business. So
Sure.
Brad is very involved in the business, and then his son Brock, and then his son-in-law Caleb are also very involved. So it's really cool to have um, that sort of dynamic where you can say, "Oh yeah, I talked to the owner of our business on
Yeah.
a regular basis." Not everybody can say that, and it's really cool. It definitely kind of sets us apart and lets
Yeah.
people know that we're still one of the little guys, and obviously people want to support those types of businesses.
Is it hard to for a small business? And we'll get back to the gifts in a minute, folks. But to compete against, well, there was Golfsmith and it's gone now, but you've got Dick's, you've got Golf Galaxy, I think. You've got the PGA Superstores, you got Carl's Land Golf. I mean, I've bought stuff from all of them, but is it really tough to compete against those? Because those guys buy by the truckloads,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah. Well, so in Boise, we have a Dick's Sporting Goods, a Golf Galaxy, and a PGA Superstore.
Oh,
And then
geez.
Shields actually also opened up here, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're a pretty big sporting goods store that's based out of the Midwest. Uh, I agree. It's tough for us to compete with some of those businesses, especially PJ Superstore, because of the volume of product that they carry.
Yeah,
Their clothing section alone is probably the size of our entire store
yeah,
for Wide World of Golf. But what we've seen is that a lot of these businesses, when they come into a market, there will be that initial buzz where people will be excited to go check it out, see all the new shiny things. And then after a pretty short period of time, people begin to figure out that the level of service that they get from some of those businesses is not as good as a small business.
right,
And part
right,
of that is because they have their corporate structure, and a lot of times that just doesn't translate into a positive buying experience for most people. Uh, some and we get it a lot from people who go to these types of stores, is that they're just not getting as much attention as they do from like a smaller business like ourselves. So that's where we really set ourselves apart, because golf clubs are going to be similar prices at a lot of places, but
right.
the level of service you get is what ultimately is going to really help people decide that they want to buy equipment from you.
My folks had a retail store for 27 years or something, and they couldn't compete, and they knew they couldn't with some of the big, huge stores.
Mhm.
But the one thing that made them successful was their customer service. So
Right.
I think people were willing, and I think they still are, to pay, $5 more for an item or whatever it is, if the customer service is there and they feel like you took good care of them. And
Absolutely.
they feel welcome to come back. Some
Yep.
of those bigger stores, it's like, "Yeah, okay, bye." You know, see ya. So,
Yeah.
Michael, we've run out of time, but I am going to have you stick around for after hours because I want to talk to you about some other stuff. But again, Michael Schmidt, Depaola, how can they find Wide World?
So our website, which is a site that I run, it's www.golf.com. And then you can also find us. We have two brick and mortar locations, one in Boise, Idaho, and one in Spokane, Washington, if you're in the area. But that's where you can find out, and we'll help you find all your golf needs.
I'm sure they will. And if Michael doesn't, you call me. I'll straighten him out for you. Okay. But thanks for being on the show. And like I said, Michael's going to stick around for after hours. That's going to wrap it up for us this week. Don't forget, Father's Day is coming up next week. Do something for dad. Don't leave your mom out of the equation. That's always a bad deal. Anyway, for Michael and myself, go out there, play some golf, have some fun, and most of all, be kind. Take care, everybody. Everybody, welcome to After Hours here on Grilling at the Green. I'm JT, and today we're with Michael Schmidt, Depaola. I've known Michael's family for a long time. His mom and dad and I went to college together. And when we're not recording, I'll tell you some funny stories about how I used to irritate your mother. But she probably didn't think it was so damn funny, but I did. So, and your dad would usually just walk off and shake his head. So gifts, when we're talking gifts again, Father's Day stuff, there's all kinds of, well, first of all, there's all kinds of training devices, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there's a million of them now. Every year, more of them come out. Some of them are really good. Some of them do what they say they're going to do. I would say more than 50% of them, not so much, you know. And I get a lot of them. People send me stuff to try, and I applaud their efforts. I really do. But sometimes the physics just doesn't work, if you know what I mean, like that. But if somebody's going into a store, Michael, and they're trying to do something for dad next week, what are some of the smaller things? You know, we talked about some bigger things, fittings and that type of stuff in the regular show. But there are smaller things besides buying a whole box of Titleist Pro V1s or Pro VX or whatever, or Tour Softs. You know, but what are some things that people always or maybe could look for their pops?
Well, something that's really good that is always on sale around Father's Day are GPS devices.
Mhm.
There's multiple companies like Bushnell and Garmin or Golf Buddy that run promos through Father's Day, and it makes it so that you could get a cool handheld GPS um, for under 150 bucks.
Well,
Which
that's
when you
good.
yeah, so it's definitely a good deal, and it's something that's really useful because most of them now you don't have to pay for a subscription fee. They come with thousands of courses preloaded. So it's nice because you pretty much give it to them, they charge it and go out to the course and you're good to go.
I like it. What about like rangefinders too?
That's another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because most of those companies also produce rangefinders and they do similar promos. Like Bushnell, I think some of the rangefinders are over $50 off right now.
Oh, wow.
And those things are built to last. I'm pretty sure my dad may have the same rangefinder that he bought at least 6 years ago. I'm not sure if it's crashed yet, but that thing is built like a tank. So
Uh,
they're good electronics.
I can verify that. In fact, at one of the golf tournaments we played in, one of the scrambles, I ended up getting the rangefinder. He wanted the rangefinder, but it was one of those silent bid things, and I snuck around him and wrote $75 or whatever it was. And that's when I think he went out and he got a little miffed and he went out and bought the one you're talking about. And he's
Yeah.
having it. And confession, I have the one that I got at that tournament. It's right behind me on my golf bag. You can't see it, but there you go.
Yeah.
Like that. What about kind of novelty stuff? You know, I'm big on goofy little gifts for people. And you're probably I shouldn't say this, but when we do the scrambles, I prepare your dad's own flask for him for the the birdie bottle, so to speak.
Yeah.
And like that. But there's lots of fun things. And the other thing I'm big on, if my daughter ever would listen to one of my shows, I love golf books.
Yeah.
What about things like that?
Golf books are really cool, but it seems like they just aren't as easy to stock as much anymore. And I'm not
Mhm.
sure why that is. Some novelty stuff though that we see that sells really well are fun sort of accessories like towels and head covers. A really good company we work with is called Daphne's, and they're the ones who make those really big, fluffy animal head covers. And
like Frank for Tiger. That
that's right,
yeah,
exactly. Frank, they have some cool ones like dragons. They've got an eagle, a beaver. So you can get all those cool sort of things, and they're pretty affordable too. They're less than $50.
yeah.
And you get something that adds some personality and flair to, somebody's golf bag.
That might be their only enjoyable moment on the course is,
That's
that little bit of flair out there.
Mm,
You never
yeah,
know.
exactly. Well, you think about it, Rory McIlroy's got the little dog head cover.
Yeah.
We carry something very similar to that. He hits a bad shot. He looks at the dog. Maybe he feels better. You never know.
You got to blame somebody. You got to
Yeah.
deflect so it doesn't sink in up there. It's just like that. I think you're right about the books, and plus buying stuff online through most of the book distributors now really focus on Amazon,
Mhm.
and that type of thing. And I think that would make it difficult. How do the golf stores like Wide World now compare to the pro shops, Michael? Um, a lot of the pro shops I've seen, they've become smaller. They're not
Yeah.
carrying the inventory. Used to go into a pro shop and good Lord, they had 9 sets of Titleists on the wall or Callaways or TaylorMades, whatever it was. You
Mhm.
don't really see so much of that anymore. I think people that belong to the private clubs, maybe they have an affinity for the club pro and so on. And they know, again, customer service, they know they're going to be taken care of. But I've noticed that they have a lot of putters, they have a barrel full of wedges, they
Mhm.
have a few golf shoes, a lot of golf shirts, some hats, some umbrellas, cigars. That's about it.
Yeah.
So is it make it tough for pro shops to keep up with the ever changing inventory and things?
Well, absolutely. And something that a lot of people I don't think realize is that uh, golf companies, especially clubs or the bigger manufacturers like Titleist and Ping, they have two different types of designations for a golf retailer. There's your box stores, so somebody like Wide World of Golf, Dick's Sporting Goods, Carl's
Hmm.
Golfland, and then there's something called green grass accounts, which green grass is their term for basically a pro shop. So what happens is that because most pro shops don't have the ability to keep a lot of inventory in stock,
Right.
their discounts on wholesale products is not as good as somebody like a box store that's buying massive amounts and sometimes 10 times as much inventory.
Sure.
So that's why you may go to your local pro shop and see, say, a Titleist Vokey wedge, and it's maybe $15 more than your local golf box store that you
Hmm.
go to. So
Hmm.
we see that happen a lot where people will come in and they'll say, "Oh wow, I saw this, this wedge or this putter, and it was 10 or $20 more over at my local golf course. That's crazy." So that's something that makes it really difficult for those pro shops to compete with stores like us.
Yeah, I think they're solid merchandising is really hats, shirts,
Yep,
outerwear, vests in our part of the world,
totally.
logoed and things like that. I think that's probably where they figured out that they can make a good return on their
Mhm.
retail dollar, but not have to try to compete with, like you said, the big box stores or the huge online retailers like that. So.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure you get a discount on your golf clubs, don't you?
I
For
do.
working there.
I do. Yes.
Yeah, your dad
Yeah.
reminds me of that too every once in a while. So that's a
Yeah.
that's a good thing. How is your golf game, by the way, Michael?
Oh, it's inconsistent. I think that's the best word to describe it. Being a new dad, I obviously don't have as much time to play golf, and that's a good excuse for me to not play golf. But I did get out a few weeks ago, and it wasn't bad. But I always find that my short game is the thing
Yeah.
that takes the longest to come back. So my putting and chipping wasn't the best, unfortunately.
My putting usually holds okay. It's the chipping that once in a while you get lucky and you're kind of spot on for the round, but most of the time, not so much. I'll just put
Yeah.
it that way. Not so much. You're doing a lot of chasing like that. Um, you miss playing? I mean, you're a dad now. You're stuck for, couple 3 years before you're going to have any time to really go out and besides going to work, you're going to be hitting in the net a lot at the store probably. But you know, do you think you can find time in 3 or 4 years to get back out there and hone your game?
I hope so. Something I think I miss almost more than playing is just the social aspect of golf.
Mhm.
That was probably one of my favorite things when I played on my high school golf team, and then also when I played at Linfield, is that sort of camaraderie that you had with your teammates out there, and then also when I play with my dad or some of my buddies here in Boise. So I know that one day I'll get back to it,
Oh,
but
I know you will. I'm just giving you a hard time. Michael Schmidt, Depaola, again, why don't you give him the address of Wide World and I'll let you go.
so it's Wide World of Golf, and our website is www.golf.com. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. So come find us.
And Michael's the man. When you hit that send button, he's the man that's going to see it eventually. There you go. Michael, thank you. Um, we hope everybody has a really good Father's Day coming up and go out and enjoy some golf. It's beautiful weather now, finally. And like we say, go out, play some golf, have some fun, and most of all, be kind. We'll be back next week. You know who we've got next week? Jimmy James. Jimmy James has a new book called Out of the Rough. And I'll tell you this, Michael, real quick. I'm actually going to be moderating for Jimmy's talk at Powell's Bookstore in
Oh,
Portland.
well,
So
that's awesome.
brand new Simon and Schuster coming out, and he's going to be on our show. So that's something to look forward to. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good one.